Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Core Energy Experience. I'm your host, Kurt Bruckmann. I have a mastery in core energy dynamics, and I am a global certified coach. I also write for Brains Magazine as a senior contributor writer, and I'm an internationally acclaimed best-selling author. I am here with our associate director and co-producer, Alex Fabio, a very important part of this podcast. Our guest today is Pete OMara. He is a trial attorney. Very fortunate to have Pete on. He has some great insight and is aligned with the Core Energy Dynamics program. If you're enjoying the podcast, please, whatever platform you're on, hit like and subscribe. We would appreciate that very much. Here's our conversation with Pete OMara. Hey, Pete, there you are. How you doing, my friend?
Good, brother. Great to see you, Kurt. Thank you.
Absolutely. Great to have you here and have you on, man. You have so much to talk about, and this is what we're going to do today. So the audience knows we're going to talk about your life, and if you will set us off there and tell us, however you want to frame it, from whatever time frame back to current, and then, possibly what you're looking at going forward. So if you're good with that, let's do it.
Totally good, Kurt. Yeah. So, I'm a criminal defense lawyer and been doing it for 36 years. I've been working in criminal justice. Began my career at the Staten Island District Attorney's Office, went to the Harrisburg District Attorney's Office while I was in law school out at Dickinson, which is Penn State's law school. Wound up back here in Monmouth County at the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office. And during the time that I was there, I was prosecuting appeals that came out of the municipal court. So it led me into criminal defense, which I really didn't expect. But a gentleman named Francis X. Moore, you might remember that name. He was a famous defense attorney from the area. I'd grown up playing ice hockey with his son, and he knew I was a hardworking, hard-hitting ice hockey player. So he hired me out of the prosecutor's office, and man, I had 500 files in the very first year that I was there and learned a real lot, and eventually moved on to opening my own practice. And I've been defending people since. And I love to use the phrase defending people because I'm not defending crime. I'm not advocating illegality or criminality. In fact, I'm very pro-police. I'm very pro-law enforcement, but I'm also very pro-people. So that's what I'm about, is helping people through their worst times. And that's what I do, Kurt.
That's awesome, Pete. You fit right in. I've talked about the core energy before, and what you do as a professional absolutely fits in 100%. And what you do as a professional fits into your personality, which is, helping people help themselves. You're always in it for other people as well. And the fact that, you serve just in your social life, Pete, and I know you as a friend for quite some time. And
Yep.
all your friends, we all discuss how you are that way, and it's really nice to have, and particularly in the law enforcement area, where behavioralism is means a lot to how you guys execute. So if you could touch about the behavior of people in certain circumstances, or however you like to frame that, that'd be great for the audience.
Yeah, sure. I'd like to go over that. Thank you. One of the things that we deal with, again, most of the people I deal with, I'm lucky because of the socioeconomics and of the area where we are. Most of my clients are good people, we're not dealing with people who are criminals. We're dealing with people, and most of the problems that they encounter are simply the results or the manifestations of human foibles, and we all have weaknesses. And this could be alcoholism, drug addiction. It could be, just responding improperly to being spurned by the opposite sex, which is where a lot of the problems arise through fights with loved ones or breaking up. Oftentimes, unfortunately, these situations lead people to court and over their fighting over whatever it might be. And that's where I come in. So, to help people through these terrible times has been an honor. And, I always loved my father always would recite to us the poem from Ralph Waldo Emerson, "What is Success?" And the final line is to know that even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. That is to have succeeded.
God, I love it.
And on a daily basis, I come to work and I know that I'm going to be able to help somebody, put a smile on somebody's face, help them breathe easier, lift their burdens, and that's what's so rewarding about what I do.
That's tremendous, because there's that servants that we're talking about that, is part of your core. And it's interesting because, with the core, we have four concentrations: leadership, performance, well-being, and transition, which you're versed at. You have all that in you as an individual. And then, of course, you bring it into your firm there. So, it's interesting because emotions are really energy in motion, right? And you see that. That's part
Correct.
of what you see.
Yeah.
That's part of the behavioralism that you see. And things like, performance equals potential minus interference, right? It's another thing you see out there. And certainly another part of the core energy understanding and dynamics is that, change is inevitable and change equals awareness plus understanding. So, all these things all coming together, and you at practicing the law in the fashion that you do, not not caring about so much about the court system, but how the individual is received in the court system and how you apply that and how you work that. So, if you would tell the audience a little bit when things get a little hairy in there, when the other side is it seems to be have an upper hand, but you don't really see it flowing that way for the judge or however that flows. What do you do in those circumstances to shift the energy towards what you believe is the best way for your or the best thing for your client?
Well, you're right, and as a defense attorney, you take a case, and the other team is on your 10-yard line with fourth and goal because their case is prepared, their case is done. And again, oftentimes it's not so much. A lot of my cases, my clients are not guilty, actually. But most of the time, they did something to some degree. So when people come in, I have them fill out forms. I have them fill out medical questionnaires, and through the years, I've handled almost 8,000 cases.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so, yeah, so I've gathered a lot of empirical data myself to support, different conclusions that I have come to, and almost invariably, and I'm going to say 99 times out of 100, when they fill out the forms, depression is checked, anxiety is checked, and people might be treating for that. And I delve into that with them because I'm not a well, I'm a believer in the use of pharmaceuticals, but I also believe, unfortunately, that a lot of doctors just say, "Oh, you're feeling depressed? Here's a prescription. Here's a prescription. Here's a prescription,"
Yeah.
without speaking with them, without going through what's causing this, without offering them options or ways to deal with that. And I personally do that now. I have studied the sciences of people since college. Behind me, you'll see my sociology and political science degrees from Villanova, which I'm proud to have attained. But then I
Love it.
went into the
Love it.
law, and through that, I've applied what I've learned about sociology, psychology, political science to what I do. So when a person comes in, I'm going to help them address the problem that led to them getting in trouble. And again, it's going to be either personal relations, alcoholism, drug use. So I've become very well versed in all of those areas, and in my attempts to educate myself so that I can help educate other people. And depression is again, it's something that everybody has to some degree, and it really has to do with what degree it goes to, how deep it goes, how high it comes up, how deep it goes, because everybody has feelings of dread or feelings of being afraid of things, and taking medication often will just numb that, will just dull that. But I mean, nothing's more exciting than a little bit of
Yep.
anxiety. It heightens the enjoyment of things. um, life is quite a magical experience, but the reality is, without death, life wouldn't be so magical. If we lived a life where we weren't going to pass away at the end of it, there would not be such enjoyment in our lives. We wouldn't live our lives with as much purpose. So anyway, getting back to what we talk about with depression, because I know that when people get arrested, when they come into my office, I know that they are going through something. And normally when they come in within days of being arrested, and they're a little bit manic. They're running around trying to find the answer. They've been on the internet, which is going to give them the wrong answer, but they've been on the internet trying to find the answer, and they're looking around. So they come in to see me, and I'm glad to say that most of the time they walk out and say, "Wow, I'm so glad I came in here. I feel 100% better."
Awesome.
But one of the things I talk with them about is, some of the major triggers for depression. We all know them. a loss of a loved one, financial wreckage, things like that. But in the top 5 is being arrested, because it's going to shake you to the core. All of a sudden, you're a different person. All of a sudden, you're a person who's been cuffed. All of a sudden, you're a person who's been in jail. And prior to that, you've never been in trouble before. And this is going to sink you down. So I talk to clients often about approaching this and knowing that it's coming, because I believe that if you anticipate a depressive episode, you're going to better situate yourself or be better prepared to deal with that. So I often use the metaphor of the ocean, and we all live on the ocean. Go to the beach around here. So if there's big waves and you're standing in the ocean and you see a big wave coming, you duck under it. It's going to jostle you around a little bit, but you're going to pop up on the other side of the wave, and you're going to have your eyes up, and you're going to be ready for the next wave.
That's awesome.
If you're not looking, the wave's going to smack you in the back, roil you around, bang you around on the ocean. You're going to stand up and say, "Get me the heck out of this ocean! Holy cow, get me out!" And so, if you're prepared for it, you're going to be better situated to deal with what's going to happen. So, and a lot of what I talk about too with clients is being grateful and having gratitude, because on a daily basis that helps. One thing I do personally daily is a gratitude practice. And when I was a young attorney, I was about 28 years old, and I had my own practice, and I had files up to here on my desk, and it was a Saturday afternoon, and I called my my girlfriend at the time, and she called my brother. And my brother is a super successful guy on Wall Street. He's now actually the president of the United States Equestrian Federation.
Wow.
And he popped down to my office within 15 minutes, and he said, "Pete, what you're saying is indicative that you're suffering from depression." And he goes, "And I know it because I have it." And I said, "How do you have depression? You have a gorgeous family. You couldn't be more successful on Wall Street. You own farms. You live in you have a beautiful mansion on Rumson Road." And he said, "Well, this is what happens to people, because we've been given a lot of responsibility. And, we look at that responsibility with when we take it on with great importance. And if you're not careful, this responsibility can weigh on you." So again, I deal a lot with clients, and I dealt with depression. I got through it. And I learned through a gratitude practice. Every day, one of the things I do, and some days I don't if I'm not feeling well or whatever, but every day I take a shower. So when I turn on that shower, I get in the shower and I count 10 things. And frankly, I'm blessed to easily come up with that list. But if you're looking for things, the fact that you can grab a knob on the wall in your shower, pull it out, and choose the temperature of your clean water that you're about to bathe yourself in, you have to realize that you are in the top 10% of the world, just by that simple fact that you can choose the temperature of your clean water that you're about to bathe yourself with, because other people would have to go find the water and find a way to clean it in order to clean themselves. Anyway, going on though, I give gratitude to God for my education, for my family, for my children, for health, for the ability to come and help people on a daily basis. And that's really what gets me going in the morning. Is I never come to work thinking, "Oh shit, I got to do this," or "Oh man, this sucks." I look at it as I'm very lucky, and I am. I'm lucky because I've been given the ability, the education, and the background that enables me to help people get through something shitty on a daily basis. And I know, again, when I go to work every day, I'm going to help somebody. It's very rare that day doesn't go by that I realize that, holy cow, I just helped somebody. I just helped somebody feel a lot better about things. So that type of purpose is really very satisfying. But again, for other people, I suggest if you approach whatever you do with the gratitude mindset and be thankful for everything every day, every morning, and it takes, you have to bring this consciously to your mind in order for it to happen, and then it will become repetition, which is, again, and I always draw sports analogies too, because what I do is like sports. We're training, we're getting better, we're studying, and when I go to trial, that's like when the coach taps you on the shoulder and says, "Get in the game," because that's the fun part, but it's the hard work that is necessary for both mental health, for preparing my cases, and whatever else it might be. But when you put your mind to it, you can achieve great things, and that, Kurt. So I don't have to tell you, but these are the types of things I talk with clients about, and they often also express anxiety, and anxiety goes hand in hand with depression. And one of my my favorite things that I direct clients to is a group called the Stoics. Are you familiar with the
I am
Stoics?
a bit, yes. Hmm.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of the Stoics, and one of the greatest Stoics was also known as one of the greatest emperors of all time, Marcus Aurelius. And the Stoics were a group. They were a group of great thinkers, including Socrates, Epithenes, Aristotle, Marcus Aurelius, and they got together, and they wanted to create these are some of the greatest thinkers of all time, and they got together and they wanted to create a method to control your emotions. And we do control our emotions. You don't realize it, but subconsciously you control your emotions every day. You wake up, you smell breakfast cooking, and you think, wow, that sounds wonderful. Girl walks by that's beautiful, and you think, oh, that's beautiful. A song plays that you love, and subconsciously you're already making a decision that you love this, that you already know that this is something that's good for you. Conversely, there's people who can read a book while jackhammers are going off next to them.
Right.
And there's people who can't read if the person next to them is breathing too loudly because they can't take it. And that's all personal decisions. So the Stoics, and again, the word Stoic is funny because it's become Anglicanized, where being Stoic means brave or intrepid or kind of stone-faced or devoid of emotion. But that's what the Stoics were trying to do. They were trying to help control emotions. And very simply, the Stoics talk about stimulus and response. And that line between stimulus and response is yours. You own it. And on a daily basis, you have to recognize that there's, okay, here's a stimulus. How am I going to respond to it? And best thing to do is probably pause for a moment and think about how you're going to respond. Don't make that line thin, make that line wide. Take all the time you need to respond. And that's very
Keeping that
important.
space to your point and choose conscious choice, not choice, conscious choice in that space. Yeah.
Exactly. Bringing to your, and again, that is, like I said, with depression, it's something that you have to consciously think about on a regular basis, and then it will become part of your regular mindset that you, in response to crappy stimulus, will be calm, and you'll face it. And a judge could be making me look like an asshole, and it's that bad language,
No.
making me look like a jerk in court, and you sit there still, and you think about your response, and then you respond, or whatever it might be that you face. But I encourage people to take their time, and there's a lot of sources regarding the Stoics, and I found them to be really helpful regarding anxiety, because everybody has anxiety too, and anxiety is not a bad thing.
No.
You don't need to go take medication so you never feel anxious, because being anxious is exciting. I'm anxious tonight to see my girlfriend. I haven't seen her in a little while. I'm super excited. So that's a form of anxiety. So that, again, it heightens experiences. Anxiety can heighten your experience and doesn't necessarily just have to be a detriment or something negative. And
Exactly.
it's how you look at it. It's how you look
Exactly.
at it.
So I was going to tag on to that and use fear, right? So anxiety and fear are brothers, if you will. So in other words, I agree with all this, and this is what the core is about, to understand that anxiety is going to, and fear. So let's go to fear for a second. Fear is an alarm clock. That's what it is. Fear is actually our friend. Like you're pointing out, that anxiety, we can get through it. Because what happens with fear, it's coming at us. We know it's coming at us, or now we feel it's coming at us, and all of a sudden we know it's coming. We can't block it. It's going to happen. So that's where we come into ourselves, and we manage it through the awareness. And then in that process of the awareness, we accept what's happening. And after the acceptance, we come into the validation. Okay, fear, you know what? I've had enough of you. I get it. And I'm acting now. I'm gonna go into my action. And time is on our friend in this. So after we take the validation of it, we open up ourselves to opportunity. And with the opportunity is where we go with choice. And this is where we choose conscious choice to start executing ourselves so we can stay within and deal with anxiety, deal with things that are coming at us that don't agree with us. And after we do that, we trust our process. And we're doing that because we're fully loaded now. We're working from within, from our core. And after we trust our process, we move into our transition, which takes us into the transformation, which we're doing, constantly. And we have stages of transformation, but certainly transitions always. You know this as a lawyer, as an athlete, and this is what we need to help people with, Pete. And what you're doing is very similar to what, the core energy is professing here. In fact, we're very much in alignment. You're pointing things out about, energy high and low. So in core energy, there's two types of energy we deal with. One's the anabolic, and that's the filling, the growing, the growth, a dopamine push. The opposite of that is the breakdown, the deconstructive catabolic dumps. And you had referred to that earlier and how you have to deal with that with your clients. So, unlike most lawyers, and we know plenty of them, as you know, this area has them and all areas do. But Pete, you have separated yourself from the field, and that's part of what the core energy understanding is. Listen, we all have value, and everyone has value, and that's the important thing to recognize, which you do with your clients, and whether the court sees it right or wrong. Pete OMara is going to be in there for you, and he's going to dig and make sure you get the best that you can, i.e., talking to them about behavior and these things that people sort of overlook. And again, we're back to the anxiety, fear based, and we all are fear based. You're exactly right, and anxiety too. To the point that if we didn't have that, again, we wouldn't be able to enjoy ourselves and move on in life and grow. Remember that we're all about growth. So, wow, you've given us a lot to talk about here, Pete.
Yeah, no, I mean, fear is a great motivator, and if you look at it positively, that's a great thing. I had a young kid in my office yesterday, and he said to me that, hey, maybe out of all this thing, the best part is that I came in to meet you, because we had such a quality conversation, and shared, above all, when I pursue justice, I do it in the name of the Lord always.
That's great.
So my values are injected into how I approach it. I was blessed to go to Christian Brothers Academy, which everybody knows well. But the one thing about Christian Brothers Academy, I was surprised in religion courses that it wasn't like an extension of CCD or catechism. It was learning how to apply our faith, values, morality, and Christianity into our daily lives and leading our lives as Christian men. And I've always been a big fan of that school, for that reason, because I've always thought that the young men that come out of that school have that sort of value. And I'm still best friends with all the guys in my class, my 1985 class. We still refer to each other as brothers, and we're very close because we all share common
I have so
values.
many friends from
But
the area that attended CBA, Pete, and you know that, and we have mutual friends that were there too when you were
yeah.
there, or younger or older. And you're right, it has done marvelous things for young minds, and we need that at that point in time before we go off to college. So that's fantastic, and I just want to bring up something that I know you're going to be intrigued by, and you get all this. In the core energy, we have 6 energy influencers that we concentrate on, and it's physical, environmental, social, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So when I start talking to people about, all these things, I pause because I know there's questions. There's 6 things. I go over them again. The biggest one is, well, the hands go up. Yes. What is it? Well, spiritual. Well, I'm Catholic, and one says, "Well, I'm Jewish." Well, okay, yes, we understand that. That's religion. We're talking about our spirit. We are all born with our spirit, and that's our part of our journey in life to understand how we can speak that to the world. First of all, understanding how we operate with that in the world, but the influencers are very, very important. And I'm glad you brought up the spiritual part because it is a moving factor in life, and it helps us attain growth. Absolutely. So
We have to realize that we're simply vessels for spirit. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, you have to realize, when you think deeply about it, what are we? We're on this giant rock that's spinning around, and we don't even know where we are exactly. All we know is that we're on Earth and that we came from
that's
it,
it.
and that's it. So we got to take care of each other on a daily basis. Is the
100%.
most important
Pete,
thing.
let's segue a little bit and let's talk about. Give us an example of something really harrowing that's happened between you and the judge, or something in court where you had to call upon everything we've been talking about here to settle yourself in so you can deliver the best of Pete to the justice system and to your client.
Well, I don't know if this is going to directly answer that question, but
It's okay.
what's important, and a lot of my approach to the job, my approach to my career, I share with a lot of other attorneys, because we do something on a daily basis, and I remind clients is we do something on a daily basis that's is the basis for a lot of great TV shows and movies. There's a lot of drama, there's a lot of strife, there's a lot of loss, there's a lot of everything in what we do, and sometimes we lose the forest for the trees in terms of how we approach it. And again, I've had times where I've seen other attorneys walk out in the hallway, they got smoke coming out of their ears, and I know that they're the calmest, coolest, best attorneys, and they're not being their best self at that moment. And I've pulled attorneys aside and, calmed them down, and had talks with them about, like, hey, let's take it down a notch, and depending on who it is, I'll try to address them in a personalized manner.
Sure.
But what we do on a daily basis is very difficult. There's a lot of stress. A lot of attorneys have difficulties dealing with the stress. In fact, I hate to say this, but attorneys are amongst the highest in terms of use of alcohol and drugs to combat stress, I would believe. And I was very lucky. My father was a very successful professional, and he never. I just learned from watching this man and the way he dealt with people and the way he dealt with his clients. But he taught me as a young attorney, listen, Pete, when you go to bed at night, you got to know a couple things. You've spent your life training for the moment. Like, when a client comes in, they might hire me this week, but I've been training for the moment to help them for 40 years. Through all of my experiences, through all my education, through everything that I've learned, through all the trials that I've gone through, I'm going to use that to help them get through this moment. So I've been training for that moment. So, I try to remember to myself that they couldn't find a lawyer who's more caring. They might find a lawyer who's more experienced or smarter than me. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I'm hardworking, and I care. And I'm going to go to bed tonight because the best thing to do is for me to get sleep. The best way for me to help my client is to put my head down, get a good night's rest, and get up and get ready for the battle at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. But worrying about it in the middle of the night isn't going to help. And again, these are thoughts that I've consciously brought to the forefront of my bald head so that I can help people. Instead of just burying it down and worrying, I've thought consciously about the fact that, hey, I've got to do something to alleviate this stress. I've got to do something to make sure that my mindset is correct so that I'm capable and able to come up every day swinging in court for my clients. So, while it becomes very personal for the clients, for me, you have to keep it professional in terms of, like, hey, my preparation couldn't be better. And I take on every case believing full tilt that I've prepared it better than than anyone else possibly can. In fact, if I'm in court every day, and if I see somebody who's doing something that I didn't think of doing, I'm going to incorporate it into the manner in which I help people and defend them in court. So maybe I labor under a false belief, but in my mind, I believe that I've done everything and anything that can be done, and I'm helping them in the best way. So it helps me to stay calm, helps me to alleviate anxiety. And again, all of this is what you are talking about, making sure that you do think about it, making sure you don't just press it down and let your subconscious mind deal with it. You bring it up to the conscious, and you're able to address it more readily and more successfully. So that's kind of where I'm at, and it has to do with the sports mindset too. I spent my life as an athlete prior to being a lawyer, and I had the privilege of coaching hundreds and hundreds of kids in various sports, mostly hockey and baseball. And I would tell kids, when you go up to bat, even if you're lying to yourself, even if you are lying to yourself, if you got to get up to bat, and you're hitting against a guy throwing 90 miles an hour, as soon as you say to yourself, oh my God, I will never put my bat on the ball, this guy's too good for me, you have to walk into that batter's box and say, there is no way this guy's putting 3 strikes past me. There's not a chance that he can do it. He cannot do it. And even if your count is 0-2, and he's just got to put one, he's got 5 chances to put one by you, you have to be thinking, there's no way this guy can put another strike past me. There's no way. And even if you're kidding yourself, that's what you have to be thinking in order to achieve success. So I learned this as a young bicycle racer of all things. I got into bicycle racing to train for ice hockey in the
Cool.
off season.
Cool.
And I got really lucky. I trained out at the Olympic Training Center with the 1984 Olympic team. They went on and killed it in Los Angeles. And
Yeah.
it was really heady days. But one of the things that they taught us, because when you're in a bike race, as soon as you get dropped from what they call the peloton or the main
Yeah.
pack, your race is over. So there comes a point in every race where you are sitting and you're sitting gripping your bars, your legs are searing, you feel lactic acid down to your bones, and you say to yourself, I don't think I can hold on any longer. I think I'm about to drop. You know what your body does when you say that to yourself? That literal thought makes your body begin the process of shutting down and anesthetizing itself. You will drop out of the race if you start saying, I'm going to drop out of this race. It's going to happen. Your body will shut
Catabolic
down.
energy, my friend. That's
They
exactly what it
taught us,
is.
they taught us to say, I feel good, I feel good, I feel good, I feel good 10 times. The other thing too is this is pretty crazy, because if you watch, but if you see the Tour de France or whatever, what we do is we smile. When you smile, even if it's a fake smile, you just go like that. You feel better. You're going to feel a little wave in your head, and you feel better. So they taught us to smile, and when you're in pain, just smile, because it helps your body to feel better. You trick yourself into performing better, and it's not a trick, because if you do that, you will perform better. So
100%.
again, the mind body connection in sports is very similar to the mind body connection that I see in my profession and helping people. So
Absolutely.
I know all this fits right into the core energy, because it's like this.
100%. You know, you're talking the language, and something I want to bring up there, because you're now discussing how to speak to ourselves, and that's another thing we push in the core energy dynamics and teach and educate people with and work with them, is that neurolinguistic programming, meaning that how language influences thought and behavior. In other words, replace certain words. And an example would be, my goal for this week is to lose 10 pounds. Okay, the week's over, I lost 8 pounds. There's a bit of a cortisol dump there because the goal wasn't achieved. So, in certain circumstances, this is an example, instead of using the word goal, we replace it with intention. My intention is to lose, right? So we succeeded. Remember, success is in the moment. It's not the final product. Success is in the moment. So by saying we had intentions to lose 10 pounds and we lost 8, we still, it's a win. So things like this is what you're bringing up about getting in the battery box. When we speak out loud, the body's listening. That's that mind body energy connection. And this is where we found in the core energy to be so valuable to bring it forward and keep educating people like you're doing. I mean, you do it in your daily life. You just exhume it, Pete. You do it in your daily life. You did it in your athletic career. You did it throughout school. You did it socially. You're doing it in your business. It's just who you are. So we need more of you and us, we like to profess, right? You know,
Maybe
absolutely.
maybe not more of me, but maybe more of my mindset, because yeah, I do. I think it's kept me happy and healthy, and help me, stay on the track, and help other people too. So
It's tremendous.
I just
Giving that gratitude that you pointed out to, and how you have a routine of going in the shower and speaking those words out loud. And it's why I'll work with people who are really down and out, really down the foxhole, so to speak. Is look in the mirror and speak out loud. Remember, speaking out loud, the body's listening. Speak out loud. I am Kurt. I am a good man. I am Pete. I do good things. I serve. And these things will help elevate us. Like you've been pointing out the whole time. That's why I brought up neurolinguistic programming, is, that language that we hear and in our limited beliefs from our parents and our grandparents, all those languages and ideas of we should grow into our life as babies, children, all the way through. Very, very different now, Pete. And I want to talk to you about that briefly, because what our grandparents taught our parents how to raise us, and how you and I and all the audience are now raising their children in some fashion or way, very, very different, because things have changed so fast. So
hmm
if you will, with the audience, let us know how that is in the courtroom with everything that's shifted, the energy being so quick now. Have you seen the effect from when you first started as a lawyer to where you are now?
well, things have changed a lot recently, and I just want to jump back for 1 second because I love when you talk about saying something out loud in the mirror, and that is really impactful because it's proven that the more senses that you use, the better something is going to sink in. So when you're speaking out loud in the mirror, you're vocalizing, you're using your brain to vocalize it, you're hearing it as you say it, and you are seeing it. So using all of the senses is more likely to make a forefrontal impression in your brain and kind of stick there better. So I know a lot of people study by saying things out loud, or I always study by writing things because I'm using several senses. And once I wrote something out, I would find that I would have a better chance of remembering
So,
it. So,
this is a great exercise too. I have to jump in because we're onto something here. We're having fun now about it all. And that is, when we write things down, it's an exercise I do with people. We write them down once, we read it out loud 3 times, and then you rip it up and it's gone. So the neuroscience have shown that instead of having it hang around, put it on post-its, this, that, the other thing, the mind will not process it all the way because we know we can go back and refer to it. The mind's a powerful thing,
right.
as you know. So if we rip it up, we're saying, okay, that's it. And the tendency is to remember quicker and recall better. So there are all sorts of different little
I like
techniques.
that method.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. It works. It's fantastic. And, the whole process of help educating people about themselves, Pete, is done, everywhere. And we're all capable of the 4 concentrations we were talking about. Leadership, we all do that. Performance, well-being, and transition. It's just part of everyone. And it's just helping people understand that we have this magnificent toolbox of experience. And we look at experience, we conjugate them as neither good nor bad. The past, it's just experience, right?
Yep.
We say they're bad. Well, you know what? Did you get something out of it? You bet. Did you get something out of it? A good experience? You bet. And they come at us in different ways, but these are experiences that grow our toolbox so we can apply them going forward. And with that being said, Pete, what are some of the more significant tools you have found that you can, I don't want to sway judge, but put the energy out there where people can feel that Pete OMara is onto something?
Well, in when I come into court, again, I'm defending people. I'm not defending their acts ordinarily. I'm not defending, the legality of what they did. I'm defending them. So when I'm going to present to the judge the whole person, because if you look at somebody and judge them for the 5 or 10 or 15 worst minutes of their life, which led them to having to be in court, you're making a mistake. And it's very important. So when I present a case to the judge, I'm going to show them everything about the person, show them the type of person that they are. So, and most importantly, I usually try to lead people to be better and to prove in a way that they've gotten better, so that they took this shitty experience, as you said, and made something better out of it. Because I look back at 58 years of life, and the worst things that have happened to me were blessings in disguise often. Not all of them, but many of the worst things that ever happened to me became, in hindsight, total blessings, because better things happened, or it got me off a bad road that I was on, or took me off the track to nowhere, and it opened up new experiences. But what's important in my preparation, bringing people to court, I want to show the court a person who's healed. And one of my favorite things to do is I'll come in sick. A lot of times the cases take a little while. So I'll say to the judge, if we kind of have a crystal ball in this case, we've seen what this person has done since this incident, and this is how they've made themselves better. So for me personally, I often want to get people into rehab, into programs, or, getting themselves clean, maybe, present blood tests to prove that they've been clean during the pendency of the case, go to personal counseling, go to marital counseling, whatever it can be, so that when I come into the court, the judge knows he's not dealing with a loose cannon. And I love that phrase, loose cannon, because loose cannon is, the cannon came loose and it's banging around. You never know where it's going to shoot. You never know what's going to
Yeah.
happen. But if the person is healed and as best as they can be, then the judge can be a little more comfortable knowing that they have taken steps. And everybody knows that the person who grabs their own bootstraps and pulls themselves up are far more likely to achieve success. In fact, anyone who works in criminal justice knows that the statistics are overwhelming, that people who seek to get better by their own volition, go to counseling, go to therapy on their own, are like 10 times more likely to achieve success than a person that the court mandates them go to. And in fact, if you speak to people who've been in therapy or been in group therapy situations, they will tell you that the people who are sent here by the court are disruptive. They don't care. They don't pay attention. They're sitting in the back. They're just biding time until they're told they can let go. And the people that go on their own are sitting there bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, participating and want to get better because they want to get back to their families as a better person. They want to get back to their jobs as a better person. They want to heal. They're motivated. And those and when you can, and the judges know that. The judge would way rather I come to them and say, for the past 6 months, this person's been going through counseling, than to say, as part of your sentence, I'm going to impose 6 months of counseling.
Right.
Because they know that that might not work, that the person might not really be into it. So again, that's how I prepare my clients, is to make sure that they're better. I mean, one of my mottos is just be better every day, be
That's
better.
great.
And I use it every day myself. I try to be better every day, just be better.
You hit it.
You know, attack the day and do the best that you can, and keep learning. As soon as you stop learning, you're dying. As soon as as soon as you stop educating yourself and trying to be better, you're just waiting for death. I mean, if you want, and we can go on about that, and the impact of your longevity, or educating yourself and being social. The studies have proven that increases longevity tremendously. In fact, communicating with other people is one of the greatest ways to create new synapses, is speaking out loud to other people. So they found that older people who interact with other people more frequently actually have healthier, happier lives than people who are isolated and really don't have anyone to talk to. And there's a lot of reasons for that, obviously.
Of course.
But
So I want to tag onto that because you hit the nail on the head with that. We don't, first of all, we don't succeed in isolation, right? So that we understand that's the downfall there. And also, when you're speaking about getting busy, keeping the mind going, keeping yourself in action. That's what we want, right? The action is where everything lies, and that's in the moment. So therefore, that we can take the heavy off about pontificating the future, predicting the future, or getting involved in that thought. That's dreaming forward. It's not here yet. The neuroscience has proved 9 times out of 10 what we're worrying about or thinking about for the future doesn't happen. Now, same as for the past. By dwelling in the past, so we can go back and reflect, great, but no dwelling or hanging there because we're dreaming backwards. And I say that because we can't recall that energy that we had in the past. That is gone. We can bring it up similarly, but it's not the same. So with that being said, there's also something that you mentioned I want to point out to as well, is that, when we have these very traumatic things happen to us in our life, whatever that may be, and we take that cortisol dump, and it's a big one, and we're down in the so-called foxhole, and we don't believe there's any way out. Well, as you know, and you've been pointing out, and all of us, and the listeners too, we know that time is going to help us because time's our friend too. That's going to, the moment is going to shift. The energy of the moment is going to shift in time. So if we remain aware and we remain in that attitude you're talking about being more positive, and what we're discussing about how we speak to ourselves, we're going to come out of that hole. We're going to come out of that deep depression, the unwanted anxiety. And it's what happens is that from the area that we fell from, we drain down with the catabolic energy. And when we come out through it, we fly through that area where we dropped from. And now that area, with the anabolic energy, we're way above it, that area below becomes a support area. In other words, and you get this as an athlete and a trader and all things we do, and in law as well, my gosh, you've seen it 1,000 times over, that you end up having a base from what used to be an area that was very nerve-wracking, that broke us down. And that has now a foundation for us to continue to grow. And yes, to your point, we're all about growth, right? I mean, that's what we're here for. So, Pete, gosh, you're delivering so much today. I'm so happy about it, and then the audience is enjoying it for sure. So we have a few more minutes, and just a couple more things I want to touch on. Pete, you're highly regarded in the community, And, it's very nice having you as a friend for many, many reasons. And you have
Likewise, my friend. Yeah.
yeah, you have lots of friends, lots of acquaintances. You're very well known, very well received. And you have
I
people.
appreciate you saying that, man. Thank you.
Well, it's the truth, and the
Well,
truth is
thank you.
truth is easy to talk to, right? That's why you be authentic. Like today, you've been very authentic with us, and that's what we all need to do: be authentic, be raw. There's no fear in that, and just keep moving along with ourselves. But Pete, I just want to go to a place that is one of my concerns and really what I want to help with the core energy about Alex and I is the younger generations and how they're dealing with all these changes now. What are you seeing out there, particularly with the early to mid 20s when they come out of school or they're in their mid 20s to the mid 30 level group of the population? What are you witnessing?
I'm blessed. I have I have four amazing kids, but three of them are in their 20s, and I'm so blessed. I don't want to go on a tangent about my kids, but I'm just totally blessed. But one of the things I've talked to them about recently is we're all in front of computer screens a lot more than we ever were. Okay, I think since COVID, we've all found ourselves, and if you look around, standing in line at Starbucks or wherever you might be, you're going to see a lot of faces that are like this.
Yeah.
It really helps you just put a little smile on your face during the day, just a little grin. And you know what? It makes you more approachable. It also, as I said, it makes you feel better to have a little smile on your face. You feel a little bit better. And again, it's one of the things that you might have to consciously think about. But
Body language,
people,
right? That body language.
just a little, like not a big smile, not a shit-eating grin, but just a little smile on your face is going to make you feel better. It's going to make you more approachable, and again, it's going to improve your self-image, your self-esteem, because you just feel better and you look better to other people. Not that you're more attractive, but you just look more approachable. You look like somebody they want to talk to. And I guess I've been blessed to always have a pretty positive personal mindset, so I always have a little bit of a smile on my
You
face.
do.
But
You do.
I just noticed through the past couple of years, I've seen the corners of people's mouths going down, and everybody in general, I hate to say this, but people look a little bit sadder than they used to. And I think it's very important to, again, bring forefront of your mind how important it is, your mindset, and how you project that mindset to other people. And that's something that, again, I've spoken with my children about, and they've done amazingly. But their interactions with other people is somewhat affricated. It's been a little bit curtailed because they're so used to quick text messages and emails, and they don't verbalize as much. So I encourage them to do that. And again, I don't want to pick on my kids, but I'm just saying in general. So I'm just saying what I say as a father to my kids, and to help improve their socializing, and I know they're very social, and they have a lot of friends. So I'm blessed. But hopefully I've helped them do that by exhibiting social awareness and outward joy and pleasantry. So I think that's an important thing maybe to touch on, or maybe as a final message here is really just smile and show the world what's that bring out that happiness and bring out the joy and share it with others,
Well,
because it goes a
your
long way.
children are very fortunate to have you as a father, and
Well,
you're
man, I could cry talking about
yeah,
them. So
you've done fabulous with them. I know them a little bit and been watching them and
yeah,
when their accomplishments and really huge what you've done there, Pete. Congratulations on all that. But that's what it's about.
you as well, my
Yeah,
friend.
thank you. That's what it's about. You've been delivering so many good things here today, Pete. And I do just want to ask one last question before we sign off.
Sure.
The
Okay.
world's in a very tumultuous time now, as we all know, for many different reasons. If you were to have a blank piece of paper from your life, your history, your past, nothing, there's nothing there now. What would you recommend to the audience and to yourself to do about the constant changes that are going on, the disruptions that are everywhere, the outside influencers, as we talked about, socially, environmentally, all of it. Um, what would you suggest would be best for all of us to adopt going forward And in these challenging times, that will help us give us continuous purpose, because purpose is something that's been shaken lately. And, all of us are feeling it in some way or another. So again, blank piece of paper, fresh start, your Pete O'Mara all over again, Pete O'Mara over again. So what would you do?
Well, this is a good question, and I could probably talk on this for like 15
You can
minutes.
do
But
that.
we are in the most politically divisive, turmoil-ridden time I've ever seen, and I've been alive since 1967, the summer of love, and the 70s and the 80s were really cool times to grow up in. Um, However, as a political scientist, I say this because people see that like I might espouse conservatism in certain ways, and I'm not. I really am left of center. Unfortunately, the way things have come lately, being left of center is still now almost right wing. I'm a civil libertarian. I really am a staunch civil libertarian, and again, I could still be viewed as right wing, but as a political scientist, I just want to share this with people, because political science isn't about learning history, studying government. I did all that in law school, and I did all that before becoming a political scientist. What is going on in our world? You have to educate yourself, and you have to realize what is actually happening, because you're not going to get me in a political debate with anyone. I don't care what your views are. I have my views, you have your views, and maybe that's helpful if I can imbue one thing to the listeners, like, just take it easy. Don't get mad about other people having the views, but you have to recognize where your views are coming from. I do believe, and I don't want to get too, tinfoil hat like, but there are forces that are guiding us that you don't see. If you think it's about Republicans and Democrats, it really isn't. It's about who's paying for this, who's funding it. And when you look at it that way, unfortunately, this weekend we've got something going on. There's going to be 1,400 demonstrations, all from this No Kings group. Okay. And the No Kings group, again, not to espouse my personal views, but everything they're saying is incorrect. Okay, as an attorney, 40 years of experience, to say that illegals should have due process, no. To say that what Trump's doing is unconstitutional, that's not correct. To say that Trump is a threat to democracy, what? He's a threat to a to a to a to a it's not even a thing, democracy. It's a theory. It's something that we strive to have. But again, when you break it down, just everyone, don't be so mad about politics. That's what they want you to be. Okay, the forces that are controlling us want us to be divided along every single line they can: sex, religion, gender, okay, race. This is silly, and if everyone really looks back, this has been ramped up in the past decade. It's really, recognize what's going on. Really recognize what's going on. Educate yourself. Dig a little deeper, and just don't believe what you're being told by mainstream media. And don't get mad about it, because there's nothing that you can do but vote. And even if you discuss it with other people. In fact, I've often wondered, like, when people say, "Oh, don't discuss religion and politics at Thanksgiving dinner," I'm thinking that's exactly when I'm going to discuss religion and politics,
Right.
because these are the people that I would like to hear from what their opinions are.
Exactly.
So even if somebody has a different opinion, it's not going to change my opinion of them. It might affect how I view their intellect, but it's not going to change my opinion of them as a person. And I'm not going to get mad at anybody about it. So I think that we're living in, could be dark times, but I really believe in the power of the human spirit. I always believe
Absolutely.
that good is going to conquer
You
evil.
bet.
And I believe that there's way more good people than bad.
100%.
And it's funny because we hear the most about the bad people, but the good people are who you got to focus on. So, focus on the good. Ignore the bad. Realize what's really going on has nothing to do with Democrats versus Republicans, and they're really about making money. Okay, so when it comes to the Democrats pushing everyone should drive battery operated vehicles, it's because they are well invested in battery operated vehicles far in advance of them pushing that agenda. They've already bought the stocks for all of the battery companies, and then they're going to push that agenda. That's what it's about. It's not about keeping the world safer or cleaner. It's about lining their pockets. and I'm a political scientist, I'm a lawyer, and I'm dead right on this one, although, everyone's not going to agree with it. But I know I'm dead right about that. It's all about these politicians lining their pockets. Look at them. They're terrible fathers. I mean, no matter how you put it, Joe Biden's a terrible father. Terrible father. He should have quit politics to take care of his kids. But instead, he's telling us how we should handle ourselves. So just again, educate yourselves. I hate to get political because I don't want anyone getting mad at me for my political
That's all
views.
right.
But all I'm saying is learn, educate yourself, really dig deep and find out what's really going on, because you'll realize that like getting mad about it is not necessary. And again, getting mad about it is exactly what they want you to do, because as long as you're fighting over them, you're useless. As long as you're fighting over them, you are an NPC, a non-player character in their world. You are in nothing. So to think that these guys went into politics really for the purpose of doing better for the world, there are some great altruistic politicians out there, but for most of them, it's their job, it's their career, and they're doing it to make money, not just to help you. So again, keep it cool,
Yeah,
everybody.
that's it.
Keep a smile on your face.
Keep
And
communicating to what we're hearing from this from you, Pete, right now is keep yourself in communication and keep in touch, and that's great.
yeah.
Pete, you have been a fabulous guest. I want to thank you.
Oh, thanks,
Thank you
Kurt.
so
It's been a
much.
pleasure to be here.
Alex and I have really enjoyed this with you today, and I know the audience has. So, Pete, if you would like to let the audience know where they can find you, if you'd like, please go ahead.
Oh, sure. Well, I've had the OMara law firm is at 600 Broad Street in Shrewsbury, right across from the Grove. I'm looking out right now. I'm looking down towards Red Bank and the Grove over there. So centrally located, quick on and off the highways. So it's always good. It's good for me because I go to court and back to the office, and then I go to court and back to the office on most days. So here I am. I've been here forever, grown up in Monmouth County. And as you've seen, like, you feel like you know everybody
yeah.
after being around here for a while. So
Absolutely.
just a great place to be.
Absolutely. We're
Great place
very
to be.
fortunate to be here. And, as we have people like you help leading us around and guide us is a big thing, Pete, because I've seen you in action. I've seen you, on the ice rink with the younger groups, the older groups, as far as sports, and also know people that have been involved with you in the legal atmosphere too. So again, thank you so much for coming on, Pete. You've really
You as well. Thanks for having me. I appreciate your kind words, Kurt,
really
very
been
much. Thank
really
you,
been
sir.
empowering. Thank you so much, and we look forward to having you
Oh, cool,
back
man.
on. I
Good.
hope you come back on.
Yeah, let's do
All
it.
right.
Let's do it for sure. I look forward to having a beer with you
All
soon.
right. Fantastic.
Bye, my brother.
All right, so everybody. So thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And please stay empowered.